Most electric cars these days are literally just a method of getting from A to B. Whether you're going to work, dropping the kids off at school, going out with some friends, it's literally just a method of transport, albeit very nice and quiet and smooth. But it's not really fun. There's no sort of really soul to the car, there's no character. But the Hyundai Ioniq 5N is about to rewrite that rulebook, because this is the EV for petrol heads. It's got nearly 500 kilowatt, nearly 800 newton meters of torque, so plenty of power, but it's got a lot of party tricks up its sleeve. It's got track modes. You can make it have engine sounds inside the car, so you sound like you're driving a V8 or something like that. So yeah, it's a really fun EV. And in today's video, we're going to have a look around it and show you all the features of the car, plus show you some of the tricks and take it for a drive, and tell you why you should spend $125,000 on an electric car. So let's get started, have a look around the car, and I'll show you everything about it. So first of all then, let's have a look at some of the styling cues on this N model, because they're a little bit different than a regular Ioniq 5. So you start off with this orange stripe that goes all the way along the front of the car and carries on down the side, and also is around the back as well. We've got these grey sections here for the lower section of the front bumper, again which carry on around the corners. You've got this lovely gloss black section in the middle. We've got the orange stripe which continues to match the one down the bottom there, and then the N logo over to the driver's side of the front bar. We've got LED headlights as well. They're not matrix LEDs, they're just standard LED projector headlights, so they've got manual adjustment. The paint colour, this is actually the matte white finish that you can get. You can get a standard white, but you can also get it in matte as well, which I've done with some of the colours, so like the grey and the blue. You can also get in matte colour as well. So it's a really cool way of making the car look a little bit different than a regular Ioniq 5. Coming around to the side, we've got huge 21-inch forged alloy wheels. I wouldn't want to have to replace one of those, they would be seriously expensive. They use forged alloy wheels because they're actually lighter than a standard wheel, so it obviously helps with the weight because electric cars are pretty heavy anyway. So having forged alloy wheels just sort of helps reduce that sort of total mass, but they look really, really nice. I thought these were going to be sort of pretty hard in terms of ride quality, particularly as this car is sitting on Pirelli P Corsa tyres. But actually the ride comfort is actually pretty decent. I was quite impressed. Yeah, I was thinking 21-inch wheels, it's going to be quite firm. You've got the weight of the batteries, I thought it was going to be sort of a bit bumpy and lumpy. But because you've got this adjustable suspension on this car, it's actually got a really decent ride, which I was quite impressed with. We then come around, we've got the black door mirrors. The door handles actually pop out of the door to obviously open them. They go flush when the car is locked, as you can see, and the mirrors fold in. But yeah, quite a cool little trick that push the button and then the little door handles pop out to open the door. But actually overall the styling is quite really aggressive. It sits a little bit lower, all the bodywork sort of is more flared at the front. When you come to the back of the car, you've got these sort of air vents here as well. So again, sort of a bit fatter at the back, just to sort of make it stand out and look really, really aggressive. Down the bottom, in that orange section there, you've got another N logo as well. So the outside styling, I think, is really on point. The back of the car is just as aggressive as the front and the sides as well. So we've got this lowered rear diffuser section here, again with the orange stripe that we had around the front and side of the car. Another N badge, another orange stripe there. And then the middle bar is all your lighting, indicators, brakes, etc. So yeah, it's quite a cool, futuristic looking design. So you've got more sort of widened bodywork here. These are fake vents, whereas the ones on the side, there's actually air going through those. I love the rear spoiler. Again, there's kind of a bit of air going through there just to sort of give it a bit more aerodynamics. The tailgate is electric, as you'd expect on a car costing this much money. Fairly decent sized boot as well, which is nice. You can sort of put plenty of stuff in here, be that suitcases, shopping, whatever. The back seats fold down 60-40 split as well, so you can extend that even further. So actual practicality wise, it's really, really good. Under the boot floor, well, you don't get a spare wheel, which is not uncommon with electric cars. We've got the charging cable in here, plus there's a first aid kit and some other bits and pieces there too. The charging cable isn't something you're really going to use. The battery on this car is 84 kilowatt, and if you use the charging cable that they supplied that you can plug into your plug socket in your garage, it's going to take you something like 40 hours from start to finish to actually charge the car. Now, the good thing about this car is it can charge up to 350 kilowatt and can do from 10 to 80% in about 18 minutes if you can find a fast enough charger. That's pretty quick. So there's no sort of problems with, you know, range anxiety and that type of thing with electric cars. And the range on this car isn't that fantastic. It's only about, well, it's quoted at 440 kilometers. In the full time I've had the car, I've only managed to get about 370 kilometers to a full charge, which, depending on the sort of mileage that you do, could cause problems. If you're going to use it as a daily driver, I don't know, maybe you'll have to charge it once or twice a week, depending on how many Ks you do. But a lot of people have still got that mindset of like worrying about running out of charge, which, you know, is definitely a thing. It would be nice to have a little bit more range, even if it went up to say 450 as an actual proper real world range. But, you know, you can probably work around it if you've got a fast enough charger, public charger near to where you live. If not, I'd highly recommend putting a faster charger into your house, even if it's just a 7 kilowatt. So at least overnight you can get a full charge and you're ready to go the next day. But yeah, you can say that cable that comes in to plug in your garage, like a lot of electric cars, is nice to have, but almost a waste of time. We're going to take a look at the inside of this Ioniq 5 as the next part of the video. If you're enjoying it, give it a like and share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. But also, if you've got questions, leave them in the comment section for me. I'm sure there's a lot of people with a lot of questions about this car, so feel free to leave them below and I'll answer them as soon as I can for you. But yeah, let's have a look at the inside. So here we go, let's have a quick look at the inside. Actually the back, look how much space you've got in the back there. There's heaps of space, which we'll get to a little bit more in a minute. But let's start in the front. Now on the driver's door there's a couple of neat bits of design here. I like this sort of checkered flag type of decal on the side here. The door pull is just here, so that's where you close the door, but there's also ambient lighting down there, which at night looks really cool. It's got a decent sound system from Bose, and again the speakers actually light up with a blue light around them, which at night again looks pretty cool. We've got the nice scuff plate there with the N logo on it, which looks nice. Some nice carpet mats, again N logos everywhere in this car. The seats are a real highlight for me. I do like a nice comfortable seat, and I have to say, probably one of the nicest seats I've ever sat in. Really nice bolster in here, sort of for the leg area, and also your rib cage. You've then got another N logo just there, which lights up at night. They're manually adjustable, which is a little bit disappointing. But you've got a height adjustment and obviously backrest adjustment there. Electric adjustment would have been nicer, but I guess they're trying to save a little bit of weight here and there. But yeah, the actual inside of the car is really, really nice. So let's jump in and have a proper look. So here we are then inside the Ioniq 5N. This is the view from the driver's seat heading forwards. So the steering wheels are really interesting. Almost looks like something out of a racing car with all the buttons and bits and pieces everywhere. So you've got your traditional stuff over on the left hand side for your cruise control and your lane keeping. And on the right hand side, things like volume and also buttons to operate your phone. We've then got a few more bits and pieces which more N owners will recognise. So we've got these two N buttons at the bottom of the steering wheel on the left and right hand side, and you can customise them. So when you press them, so up on the display, that changes what we're seeing there on the display. So you can basically choose, up here in the top right hand corner, how much power you want the motors to use, the stiffness of the steering and the suspension. So that can all be customised. But it also shows you over on the left hand side the temperature of the front and the rear electric motors, which is quite cool. So yeah, you're not sort of like driving too hard and obviously causing damage to the motors, but you know when they're ready to go for a spirited drive. So we can turn that back off just by pressing the drive mode button. The button on the right hand side of the steering wheel, this one here, this is actually quite a cool button. I like this one because when you press that one, if you can hear that, it makes it sound like you're in a petrol powered car. So if we give it a little rev, so that's quite a cool party trick. And actually if you do that while you're driving along, it does actually feel like you're driving a petrol car, because you can feel sort of fake gear changes, and you can see the rev counter going up and down as you have these fake gear changes. So yeah, that little button there on the right hand side is actually one of my favourite ones. I do quite like that. So what else have we got then? So on the steering wheel itself, over on the left hand side and over there on the right hand side, the metal paddles, they allow you to adjust the amount of regenerative braking that applies to the car when you lift off the accelerator. So as soon as you lift off, the car will start braking, and then it will actually sort of bring the car to a sort of halt for you. So on the rest of the display, we've got the kilometres in terms of how much range we've got left, and shown there as a percentage. The LV2, that's the amount of regenerative braking that is currently that I've chosen for the drive that I'm having at the moment. In the middle, you've got your trip computer, you've got your lane keeping, you've got your traffic sign recognition, then you speed over to the left hand side. So it's not really too much different to a petrol powered Hyundai, other than the section over here for your battery. Coming over to the middle, we've got the infotainment screen. Now there's quite a lot going on this one. This has got built-in satellite navigation, but you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, which is really cool. So yeah, it's nice to just get in the car and everything connects nice and easily. But you've also got things like the built-in sat-nav, music here for the media section, and then the N mode. So this is where you can go in to adjust sort of parameters of how you want things to work. Yeah, you've got all sorts of stuff here, sort of N track mode, because you can actually take this car on track amazingly. Who would have thought an electric car would go on track? But yeah, this one you certainly can. Then you can swipe it across. And this is where you can set up that left hand button on the steering wheel. So you've got custom 1, so you've got all the settings there for custom 1. You can then flick across to custom 2 and have a separate set of settings for that. You've got a G-force meter here, so when you're out on track you can see how much G-force has been applied when you're going around corners. It's got launch control. It's just really different to your average electric car. We can then go into the settings, and then we've got a load more things we can adjust as well. So you can have things like this NE shift, that's what I was talking about on that button on the steering wheel a minute ago, where you get fake gear shifts. You can then activate all the sounds as well. So you've got different choices of sound or fake sounds that you can pump into the speakers. So yeah, it's actually makes the experience really cool. So yeah, you can have ignition, so it makes it sound like you're in an electric car, so you give it a bit of a rev when you're actually driving, and then yeah, it will sound like a petrol car. So yeah, it's quite cool. If you don't like it, you can turn it off, or as you can see, you can adjust the volume. So yeah, it's actually quite cool. It's a little bit different, maybe not to everybody's taste, but like most things, you can turn it off, which is quite cool. So yeah, that's the infotainment screen. Coming down further below, you've got the usual buttons there, which Hyundai like to put on there, which make it easy to access certain functions on the infotainment screen. And then you come down to your dual zone climate control. Underneath that, you've got a wireless phone charger just here. You've also got a couple of USB-C fast charging points over there. And then the buttons here, you've got one for the cameras and one for the parking sensors. And then a little bit further down, we've got another USB-C and a 12-volt power socket. Turning around, we've then got a bit more storage and a couple of cup holders. And the storage actually goes all the way underneath that center console as well, which is quite cool. And then we've got an armrest with a little bit of storage in it as well. So there's lots of storage facilities in here. But yeah, so lots of nice little knickknacks where you can hide things. But the interior is actually really nice. I like the interior of this car. It's different enough from a standard Ioniq 5, but it's not too leery. But yeah, as you look around and you say you've got more things like sort of the blue stitching around the tops of the dash there. You've got the blue line, the sort of Hyundai N Performance sort of hero colour, if you like. And actually you can just see the light there on the speaker, that blue light that I was talking about when we first got inside the car. So the interior is actually a really nice place to be. It's not too over the top like some electric cars, It feels more like a normal car, unlike a Tesla where you just got the one big screen in the centre. It's more like a traditional Hyundai with your two screens, so it doesn't sort of take too much of your time to actually learn everything, which is quite cool. Getting in the back of the Ioniq 5 is dead simple. That door opens really wide, you don't have to duck your head too much to actually get into the car, and you've got acres of space in terms of legroom. You can't get your feet under the driver's seat, which is a bit of a shame, but because you've got so much space in front of you, you can still stretch your legs out to be comfortable on a long journey. The nice thing about being an electric car is the floor is actually flat as well, so the third person sitting in the middle isn't going to have their knees sort of elevated and be a bit uncomfortable. We've also got a couple of USB charging points there, the USB-C, so the fast chargers, which is cool. Air vents are over on the B pillar for both sides of the car. We've got a decent amount of headroom. You can get an optional glass roof for this car, which would obviously let a bit more light in, but it's not too dark and claustrophobic even without it, which is quite cool. We get some manual sun blinds as well, which is quite nice. So on a sunny day like today, it just stops the car getting too hot and obviously blinding you when the sun comes in. We've also got the little N logo on the back of the seats as well, just to remind you that you're in an N car. The material on the seats, like we had in the front, so we've got the leather and we've got the suede, which is quite nice for rear passengers as well. We've got the fold down armrest with the cup holders. We've got the usual child seat mounting points for ISOFIX. So it's pretty sort of standard stuff back here, nothing out of the ordinary. But it's nice that you've got so much space, so even someone who's really tall or got long legs can still get comfortable. Right, so it's time for a drive, but also it's time to take the car back to Hyundai. So yeah, again, a big thanks to them for lending me the car for the week. It's been real fun. Thoroughly enjoyed this. So sticking into drive. Already in drive, but yeah, let's go. So first impressions then, it's really nice. You don't feel the weight of the batteries. The ride comfort is really good considering we're on 21-inch alloy wheels. And it just feels like every other electric car that I've driven. So it's comfortable, it's quiet, it's smooth. But it's almost like a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, this car, because you can, daily drive it just like every other electric car on the road. But then you've got those track modes, and you've got the N-Green mode, and you've got the sport mode. It's just like it's just Jekyll and Hyde. You can deploy all that, almost 500 kilowatt. And from a standing start, not much will keep up with you. As I mentioned earlier in the video, these seats are so comfortable. You could do a 10-hour journey quite easily, and you'd get out the other end and you wouldn't even know about it. They're super nice. I find the driving position really nice. It just suits me really well. But even taller drivers would be fine too. You've got plenty of headroom. The visibility out the front and the side of the car is really good too. The A pillar isn't one of these really thick ones, so you don't sort of get a blind spot when you're trying to come out of a junction. So one of my favourite buttons that I mentioned earlier is the N mode on the right side of the steering wheel. Because when you press it, makes it sound like you're in a petrol car, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. And so it gives you these sort of fake gear shifts, and you can actually feel the gear shifts too, it's not just the sounds. It's actually a pretty cool trick that Hyundai have managed to do with the car. You can even hear, it's almost like having a dual clutch gearbox, where it's got that sort of DSG fart, if you like, that you sort of hear on Volkswagens. But it also does the opposite and downshifts and blips the throttle. It's a really cool trick. It's like you wouldn't even know it's an electric car because of that feature on the steering wheel. It's really cool. I like it. You can then have that in a different driving modes too, so you can have it in normal mode, you can have it in sport mode. And like in a petrol powered car, there you go, you can hear the downshifts. Don't know how well that's coming out on the audio, but yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, on the sport mode, it'll make it sound like it's holding onto the gears longer, or the fake gears if you like. I think if I owned one of these, I'd drive it like that all the time, just because it's fun. You can turn it off if you get bored of it, but I can't see why. That's cool. I love that. I didn't realise it did that. If you got it in sport mode, you put your foot down a little bit harder. You've got that, yeah, that proper sort of DSG fart, and it sounds like the exhaust is really sort of popping and banging. That's really cool. I like that. I think I might have to try that again. That's really cool. I like that. So it does it. You don't hear it if you're just squeezing a throttle gently. Yes, I love that. That's cool. That's really cool. That's worth $125,000 on its own, that little feature. It almost makes you want to slow down on purpose, just so you can accelerate again and hear the noises. It's that good a feature. That's so cool. I love that. I'd love to take this on track, or actually, what I'd like most is to get like a professional racing driver to take me on a circuit in one of these things and just, yeah, really show me what it can do. Because you know, I'm no sort of racing driver, obviously, but it would be really cool to get a proper racing driver to put it in full track mode, and you know, the pops and the bang sounds coming through the speakers. That'd be pretty epic, I reckon. But if we turn off all the sound trickery off, it's just like every other electric car, as you'd expect. Very quiet, very smooth, just a normal electric car. But it's got that party trick, and if you want to have a bit of fun, you can. So it's an overall package. It's actually really cool. It can be a normal car, you can do your day-to-day stuff, it can be, you know, sensible, I suppose, if you want to call it like that. But at the flick of a couple of buttons and changing a few settings, you can really have some fun with this car. Not just from the way it drives, but the sounds and everything as well. It just gives you that, yeah, as I said at the beginning, it's a petrol head for EVs. It's really, really cool. I've never really understood it. Now driving it, you understand why Hyundai have made this car, because so many manufacturers are making electric cars, and they're nice, they're okay, but they're not for drivers. They're just there to get you from A to B. This is a driver's car, and if anyone sort of disputes that, have a drive in one and have a play with the buttons and just have some fun with it. I guarantee you will change your opinion. I love that. That is so cool. You can use the paddles on the steering wheel to do downshift manually as well. Yes. Yeah, so I really want to go on one of these on a racetrack. That would be so cool. Sounds strange to talk about in an electric car, but yeah, it's just fun. 100% fun, this thing. So there you go, that's the end of the video, and sadly that's the end of my week with this car. A huge thanks to Hyundai Australia for lending me this Ioniq 5N for the week. I've really enjoyed it. Give the video a like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to find out the next time a video goes out. If you've got any questions, leave them for me in the comment section below. I'll answer them as soon as I can for you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.